Thank you for taking out time and joining today. We'll try and cover and build out a custom sales dashboard today, and also cover of what is required even before you go into building. So we'll cover a bit about me and Mihir. What do we do? What is vibe coding? What kind of AI tools are there? Quick brief. Then also we'll cover the logic behind building your own sales dashboard, right? Why should you even build one out? Then we'll get straight into building and also then discuss what else is possible, what are the possible use cases that you can build out. Cool. Quick intro. Me and Mihir have been doing this for almost 10 months now. I realized yesterday that I used to keep saying 8 months, 8 months. Then I realized November it's about to end, so it's 10 months now. I run a growth consulting firm called Curio Revelio. We work with startups on their growth strategy, digital marketing execution. And previously, I've worked with startups like Urban Company, Oyo, and Cardeco. I did my MBA from ISB, batchmate of Mihir's, and engineering from NSIT Delhi. And like last 10 months, we've been using multiple AI tools like Replit, Cursor, Claude, and many more.
Hi guys, good to see you here today on a Saturday morning. My name is Mihir. I'm the founder of NOS, which is a startup community for early stage startup founders, so 0 to 1 stage. I am also Adil's batchmate from ISB 2017. And since ISB, I've been working in startups, primarily in the growth strategy and customer success verticals. I also had my own startup in the pet space about 4 years ago. And like Adil said, over the last 10 months, we've been using these vibe coding tools. We found fantastic use cases, and that's what we've been trying to sort of communicate with the community at large on where these tools can be applied and how you can maximize the outcome or output from these tools. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining today.
Yeah. Great. So I think the overall concept of vibe coding, I think everyone is aware of it now. But for us, it has basically made building software accessible to everyone, right? That is the core concept. Irrespective of your background, irrespective of your tech understanding, anyone can start building software, right? And there are like plethora of tools, like, and every week there's a new tool being launched, right? Yesterday only I was testing another tool which was launched, which kind of makes it even further easier to build software, right? So we'll be covering all that as well in the coming weeks. But broadly, right now, these are the popular tools out there, right? And we broadly segment them into 4 buckets, right? The primary reason being they are good at these 4 things, right? Or they are one of the best tools in these 4 areas. So starting from the bottom, Cursor and Claude Code, right? They are the most popular tools among developers who use them in their existing VS Code or other coding environments. And they're very powerful, right? But yeah, it requires a good understanding of how tech works. You should be able to code and understand code as well, right? The next is backend, or you can say workflows, right? So Zapier is an old one. Anytime and Make are have gained popularity since AI has become more popular. But again, very popular tools. If you don't want any front end, you just want step-by-step automation of different workflows. Then tools like V0 and Bolt are very good at giving out front end, right? Although with the recent launch of Gemini 3, this is changing, right? So this slide might be different in the next session.
Yeah.
So again, they do a lot more things, but they are very good at these specific things. Then coming to the most popular tools, and the reason they're popular is because they're full stack tools, right? Replit and Lovable, they let you build everything in one environment, from backend, front end, database, and deploy it also, right? Which makes it very easy and very good tools for non-tech folks. Anyone here who has used any tool outside of these, you can just unmute or type in the chat. And we'll share basically what we heard about those tools as well.
I recently tried something very different. It's called Quick Build.
Quick Build. Yeah.
Yeah. It does that on WhatsApp through a voice message. I was actually amazed. I've tried Lovable before and found it easy to build the first ones, but then very difficult to make it work full time. That's partly why I'm talking here. I think Mayor and I have spoken before.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the real, but quick build, I found it really useful. 10 minutes, I could actually build something which is working.
Correct. Yeah. Quick Build is, I think, an amazing tool, right? It's very unique in the sense that you can build something from WhatsApp directly. So hopefully we'll be sharing some more details on that in the coming weeks. But yeah, I think you should check it out. I'll put the name in the chat. Any other tools, guys?
I use something called Polymer.
Polymer.
So where does that fall under? Like, yeah.
Okay, interesting. So can you share a bit more about
It
it?
was also like very similar to Lovable. I tried with Lovable, but since it's a paid one, right? I just tried out Polymer. It was pretty good actually. So
Interesting.
Got it. So I
Yeah,
think one more I think everyone should try is anti-gravity. I think with the Gemini 3 release, Google has also released this.
Mm.
I found it as a hybrid of kind of Cursor and Lovable, right? They're trying to do everything at once. So not easy enough for non-tech folks like me to understand because you have to specify what coding language to pick and all those things. But yeah, still very early to make a judgment. But it's free for now, so everybody can try it out. Awesome, cool. I think we'll move ahead. Please try these tools. Quick Build is an amazing one. We are in touch with the founders and test it out and do share your feedback.
Yeah, Quick Build is an Indian-based startup, by the way. Indian founders working out of Bangalore.
Yeah. So I think before we start, I think the question comes, why should we even build a custom dashboard, right? There are n number of tools. Some are free, some are low cost, some are very expensive. Some are complicated, some are very easy to use. So why is there even a need, right? So based on our own experience of working at these startups, of running the company, our own companies for the last 5 years, we realize that there are multiple challenges that we face when you use traditional tools or dashboarding tools, right? One and the most common, data is everywhere, right? Multiple formats, multiple platforms, and just the task of cleaning data and making it into a single format is one of the biggest pain points that we have seen. In companies, especially larger companies, I've experienced myself, a simple dashboard, like even with one chart, requires an approval from your manager, and then the BI team will put it into the pipeline of priority. And if you're lucky, you'll get it in a week, right? Usually it takes around 3 to 4 weeks even for a small change in a dashboard, right? So that dependency is very irritating and very restricting it. At least personally, I feel very restricted due to that. Integration, I think, is another big one. Like I said, it's related to the first point, multiple platforms, different formats. It's becomes a copy paste and upload download game, right? As you're playing every day for half an hour, 1 hour. And yeah, like everyone, I think I'm sure people will agree. Ultimately, we resort to Excel and Google Sheets because that becomes an easy way to collate everything into one place. I think one thing I experienced a lot. So I was a business analyst for a CXO for almost a year, and there was a new format or a new report type needed every week. Right. So half my job was just customizing PPTs into different formats to present the same data in different views. Right. Me found this interesting for stat that a sales manager spends around 624 hours per year on data entry and dashboarding. A report by Forrester. That's roughly around 2 hours per day if you work 365 days, roughly. So that's a crazy amount of data time that we spend on this. So before you get into why and how to build this out, the philosophy is very important, right? And this is something we are trying to adopt internally at Vibestack also. Rather than building our processes around how the tools function, we are flipping the script and saying, hey, this is the process that works for us, right? We work the fastest at the highest quality in this process. Let's build and design a tool which adapts to this, not the other way around, right? So we built a PM tool for this. We built a Luma replica for this, for scheduling these events like this. And we'll come to those demos also over time. But this is the core philosophy that we approach the problem with. Okay. Now, building a custom dashboard is not very easy, obviously, right? There's a one-time effort that is required into building a dashboard, building connections, and understanding the data, right? But the benefits are also there, right? There's no dependency on someone else to give you data or make customizations. You don't need any coding experience, right? And you can also start building connections very easily. You can start sending emails every day, every week, every month, depending on whatever you require. You can also integrate with tools like Slack, right? So a lot of companies use Slack, and you can send one update every day, every morning at 9 a.m. in a Slack group. And ultimately, with all these optimizations, you get real-time data in one place. You can couple it with AI and have faster decision making, right? And we'll cover AI integrations as well today.
Correct.
Cool. So we'll quickly move into the building part, right? So before we get into the prompt part, right, this is something I wanted to share, the work that you have to do before you get into the prompts and exactly what you want to build, right? So, and we go deeper into this into our workshop where we write down exactly what are the core use cases of your app, right? So the use cases for this app that we will today is connect multiple data sources, pull and centralize data, build a dashboard, right? Add an AI agent for insights, and send alerts or reports every day, every week, whatever timeline we fix, right? And we have a framework of how we come to the core use cases. We first define the TG. So TG for today's tool is sales professionals and functional heads at enterprises or SMBs, right? The problem is this delayed decision making because collecting data from multiple sources and making reports, it takes time and is a pain for everyone. And obviously, we want to support. The outcome is basically get data when you need it. So what we'll do today is we will connect primarily two data sources. One is from HubSpot, which will give us deals, companies, contacts. And we'll also have an upload Excel feature, which will help us upload the latest deal updates, right? And any contracts that have been signed, let's say on that day or in the last week. Where will we use AI, right? So again, it depends a lot on where do you want the value from AI. But for this use case, we'll use AI to get an overall summary. We'll create it, ask it to make a summary for our CXO, which it could be a operations head, it could be a CEO. And we will define exactly what data to send, what kind of tables, right? And at what frequency. Similarly, we create a different cut for a different leader, right? And we'll also connect our emails, which is Gmail or Outlook. We'll connect Slack. We'll connect our AI, Gemini or ChatGPT, and see if we can add more data sources, right? Depending on how much time we have. Cool. Again, this is very basic, right? Depending on your use cases can be many more. The data type and data sources can be 15 or 20. Completely depends on you. But yeah, for today's example, this is what we are using.
Yeah, the idea here is to sort of showcase what is possible from a very broad perspective. Basis your use case, you can customize it to any level.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll just switch to repeat. Any questions so far, guys?
Yeah, any specific use cases, anything that you want to talk about in terms of why you joined the session, any specific reason? Like I knew, for example, when I was in InjaCart a few years ago, the WBRs, QBRs, MBRs, those business reviews, every Friday, the entire day would get spent in stress and getting those decks and those sheets ready. Right? So I knew that that is an extreme pain point that I wanted a solution for. Any examples that you guys have, please feel free to share.
Okay. So for those of you who are seeing the Replit screen for the first time, this is how it looks, right? This is the window where we enter our prompt. I'll just quickly talk about a few features before we get into the prompt part. You can build multiple type of applications, a web app, mobile app, data app, 3D game, or an automation, right? Very similar to what Zapier or Anytime does. They recently launched the design feature, which lets you build a front-end design, which is extremely powerful. You should definitely try it out. It's, I think, free for now, but yeah, if you have a paid account, you can definitely go ahead and try it out. So this is what we'll use. I am pasting my prompt here and also send it on the chat, so you can try building it later on your own. and I'll quickly explain it as well. Okay, I hope it is visible. I'll just zoom in a bit. So my prompt is very simple, right? We basically have a set of rules that we give on the first prompt, which is basically broadly defined in one line what you're trying to build. So I'm trying to build a comprehensive sales dashboard that integrates with HubSpot to automatically pull sales data and allows a manual Excel upload for additional data sources with flexible view customization capabilities. Then I define what core features do I want. So I want HubSpot integration. I want a manual Excel upload functionality. I want an interactive dashboard with customizable views and data filtering and multiple data visualization options. So I can view data in a chart, a table, or a simple card, right? So visual references, you can either exactly define what you want. You can upload using this attachment button, a screenshot of a page you want, or you can just say what website you want to replicate. Like I've said, use HubSpot's native reporting dashboard in Salesforce as a reference point. So Replit also has a web search feature where it will go to the website, get an understanding of the design, and try to replicate it as much as possible. So this is a broad prompt. I can be more detailed if I want. I can be even keep it more simpler. But this is something that works for us in the first prompt, at least. So I put in my prompt.
Yeah, please feel free to raise your hand and ask questions at any point in this session if you have anything, right?
Yeah. So yeah, you'll see it's asking me to continue with the connection. So again, the advantage of Replit is it has direct connectors inbuilt for a lot of tools. So I just have to log in, which I've done. And what I'll do is I'll also share those connectors once.
So you don't have to deal with APIs, you don't have to deal with creating accounts, you don't have to deal with anything. You have an account, you basically log in via SSO and it makes the connection on its own. It's that simple.
Correct. So if you can see my screen, these are all the connectors that are available. So Gmail, Google Connector, HubSpot, recent agent mail are basically email senders. Asana, Box, Confluence, Discord is also there, Dropbox, GitHub, all your Google Docs, Jira, Linear, Notion is a very powerful integration. For Microsoft users, OneDrive is there, Outlook is there, SharePoint is there. So you can also use data that is uploaded into SharePoint as a data source, right? You don't even have to download the Excel files. And yeah, Twilio, Zendesk, Spotify is also there. And they're also adding a lot of MCP servers over time. Figma is a popular use case where you can connect your Figma and it will start building on top of your design directly.
Correct.
And yeah, Git providers are basically helping you with version control and export of your code. Got it. So after the first prompt, what Replit does is it builds out a plan of what it will build, right? And you can do a review of the plan, right? So here is the plan it has shared. HubSpot integration, exactly what I wanted. Excel file, yes. Interactive dashboard, multiple visualization types, customizable view filters. It is expecting date range, deal stage, and sales rep, because I mentioned that I'm building a sales dashboard. Data refresh, clean and UI, inspired by HubSpot and intuitive navigation. So now Replit gives you two options. Whether you can start with only the design part or you can build the entire app, right? So let's start with the design. So right now it will only build the front end. So you can look at, okay, what is the design type? Do I need to change a few dashboards, what it looks like? And then we can start building the backend as well.
And typically you'd want to start with the design where when your UI, when your user experience is a lot more important, especially for customer facing apps or when you want to show it to leaders and so on. But if it's, let's say, an internal facing tool, typically you can go ahead with building out the tool directly.
Yeah. So while it builds, it takes around 5 minutes to build out. I'll just quickly talk about a few features of Replit, right? So if you see on the chat window on the bottom, there is this build icon. So Replit gives you two modes to work on with the AI agent. One is build, where it starts building out the code and testing it and making changes. The other is plan. So plan really helps you understand what you want to build, break it down into different parts. So all these steps that it was created was the plan mode, right? And yeah, you can easily switch and plan the work and pick up from where you have stopped planning and start building, right? So it's a very seamless integration.
And this plan mode helps a lot when you have a lot of complexity in what you want to build. And when you're especially not very, like it's very cluttered in your head, right? You know, you have 10 different features that you want to build, but you're not sure how they will connect, or especially because we are non-tech folks, we don't know how it will reflect from a tech perspective. So typically when it's a little more complex, we start off with the plan, get a granular understanding of what is going to happen where, and then go ahead with the build when we are clear about what is happening.
Exactly. And on the bottom right, you can see agent tools, right? So Replit is, I think, one of the only few dev tools which gives you control over how much autonomy the AI agent should have, right? And what that means is, so the AI agent can do everything if you want, right? But there are a lot of times when you're making iterative changes and the kind of control that you want. So you can control how much the AI agent can change, right? So for example, high setting, and it explains, right? The high setting can generate a plan, execute task list, review the code, fix issues, and also expand the scope for the next features to be built out, right? When you go to medium, it restricts it to the task at hand, right? When you go to low, low is basically very specific to a smaller task that you want to do. There's also max, which is a very good and a very dangerous option to have, because it's like giving full control to the AI to build whatever you want after the first initial instruction, right? Usually this is where you hear stories of that AI spent over $200 or $300 in a single prompt, right? Because you give it max autonomy, so it can think and design and rebuild everything it wants. Usually we start with high, and as the features get built out, we shift to medium or low. Right?
And we talk about, as we go with the building, we'll talk about when to select low, when to select medium, and when to select high. And how do you make the trade-off between all of these? Because in all of this, like ideally, I would think, why would I not have autonomy high by default? Right? The trade-off that you're making here is with cost. So with high autonomy, your cost is going to be high. With low autonomy, your cost is going to be low. But that also means that your output is going to be lower or higher depending on what you select. Right? So how do you make this trade-off is with what we'll also go into a little more detail as we progress through this session.
Yeah. So just completely cover this point first and then look at the build. So there's also this option of app testing. So Replit can conduct tests on your app while building it out, right?
Yeah.
Again, like Mir said, we ideally want it on all the time, but again, there's a cost associated with it. So we can turn it on or off. There are three more features here, which is web search and media generation. Replit can create images for you if required in your application, and it can also search the web, right? Since it's a dashboard, I don't need images. I'll turn off the media generation, but web search is always a good thing to have to search for possible solutions to your problems. High power model is basically Claude Opus, which is very expensive, roughly 5 times more expensive. So I've rarely used it, like not even once, to be very frank, because I really never needed it, right? High or max autonomy is enough for anything you need. Cool. So I'll quickly review what it has built, right? So this is only the design part. So ideally, no feature should actually work, right? There's no sync button, but it has given me a dark and light mode by default. Right? It has built out cards, conversion rate, active contacts, deals closed, based on what I should expect from a sales dashboard, right? And HubSpot, data source, analytics upload. And I can also hide or open the sideway. From a design point of view, it looks fine for me. There's no changes as I need, but if you want, you can also further make changes to certain parts, right? But I'll get into that when we get the actual data, because that will give me an idea of what I want to show and what I want to hide. So this is how it looks on the website. Any questions so far?
So there are two approaches that I basically juggle with whenever building with any AI tool. One is like a prompt that you gave, which is one-liner, and another one is where, let's say, I use a AI generator to to write out like a requirement document, give very specifics. Like in this case, it could have been, I need a quarter-on-quarter filter. I need a uh, sales rep wise report. So those specifics you can actually specify and then draft out a requirement document and then provide the whole document to an AI tool like this. So in terms of output, in terms of how many credits that get used, maybe you can share your experience while I can talk about mine as well. Like how does it go, or anything which is recommended?
Yeah. So we recommend an iterative building approach. The primary reason being, especially for non-tech builders, right? We look at the output and then decide what improvement is needed. From a developer point of view, they look at the code and decide what is needed, not needed, right? So the approach is quite different. When you give an extensive PRD and ask the AI to build, we don't know what are the gaps right now, right? And there are a lot of things that the AI will assume and build out for you, right? For example, in this option, I didn't ask it to build a dark mode or a light mode, right? It just picked the best practices. It looked at HubSpot's design or Salesforce design and said that this is there, so it should be here as well. There are a lot of things that the AI assumes and picks up, and the broader the scope you give, the number of assumptions increase, right? And why does it happen? Why is it negative? The cost, right? Right now, this whole design was built in less than $1 for me. If I'd given a whole PRD, it would have taken at least $10 to $15, much more longer time, right? And then after that, I would have to make changes, right, to what I need and don't need. So yes, it is, AI tools can help you make a PRD, very detailed, very long one. You can make a 10-page PRD. But when you start building, that PRD has a lot of gaps which we don't realize, and the AI will assume over there. And yeah, this is technically not a one-line prompt. It's basically a 10-line prompt. But yeah, we are limiting the scope. We're focusing on exactly what we want. And we cover this in the workshop in very detail, right? What is the core feature you build on? How do you identify that core feature? And then build iteratively over that. Cool. And coming to the chat, Replit again has a good feature where it breaks down each prompt level cost, right? So for this design, it took 3 minutes and 55 seconds. It took 41 actions, 676 of lines of code, read, and code change for around 900 lines. And the agent usage was around 97 cents.
Yeah. Naveen also has a question. Naveen, go ahead. You can unmute yourself and ask.
Hi, am I audible, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Just wondering, is there a way in Replit or any other tool where you can launchpad off other folks, builds like IFTTT or Zapier offers, where a recipe is created and made public, and then you can say, this is my starting point?
Sorry, can you explain that again?
See, like you just made this design. Somebody
Correct.
else, maybe 1,000 people are making a design like this of a sales dashboard. Is there a way to access like a public library where you chose to say, I don't mind sharing this with others, and I can start off with this starting point and then build on top of that?
Yeah. So I think Replit is planning something like that. It's not there right now. So we've discussed them multiple times, but it's not the higher priority. I think tools, non-AI tools do have that. So Webflow has its own marketplace. I think I'm sure other low code or no code tools have it.
That's it.
Yeah. So here there is a tool, but again, it's a manual task where someone will have to remix your app, which kind of makes a copy of it, and then give you access to that app.
Okay. And second question I had was, like in this example, HubSpot is a CRM that has, super set of functionalities, of which I am seeing this, one way of seeing this is a simplified view of the sales dashboard that already exists on HubSpot. So is it possible to use Replit or other AI tools to actually take existing feature of HubSpot and just show a simplified dashboard view of it rather than build this whole functionality from scratch?
Within HubSpot, you're asking?
Within anything, like if you say I have an integration available and this integration already offers me the superset of all the features, then what I'm seeing on the screen right now is I have hidden away maybe 15 things and shown only 4 things well. It's not like sales analytics is not available in HubSpot, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So what we want to sort of elaborate over here is HubSpot is one source. A typical sales team might have 5 different sources. They might have some subjective input coming from Slack, some email context being shared by the clients, which maybe HubSpot is not able to access. So the idea here is to integrate all of those different sources of truth, of information, of data, bring it in one place, and then showcase whatever is really relevant to the person who's looking at this dashboard.
No,
So-
I understand that. In this case, that may serve the purpose. But if my need was only, here is a mega set of functionalities, can I use a Replit type tool to say, just show me these 4 things out of that in a nice UI rather than build all the integrations and functionalities? Is that approach possible is what I'm asking, if I didn't have multiple sources?
100%. You just connect your HubSpot and say, "Ki, out of all of the data points in HubSpot, I just want a very nice looking UI that shows me only these 4 variables." That can be your entire prompt, and it will build it out for you as is.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Cool. I think we'll move ahead. So now it has built out the design and not making any changes to it right now. So we'll just go to the build functionality part. So since we're building from scratch, I'll move to high autonomy and let it build out everything. I'll keep the app testing off for now because I wanted us to test it out in real time. So now to look at what the front end has been built, right? Look at our integration with HubSpot, and then built out the backend for this. So when the agent starts building, right, again, completely depends on your tech capability and how much you want to get into the code. You can see exactly what files are being written, open them up and review the code as it is being developed, right? So if you have a developer on the team and you want to review the code that is happening real time, just open the files, go through the code, understand what is happening in each feature that is being laid out. And yeah, I like just reading through the steps that it has taken, right? So it has checked the HubSpot connection, started editing the backend code, editing the storage files. Now it's building API routes, which will connect the data from HubSpot to our dashboard. And you can also track at an overall level what task is happening at what time. So it will first understanding the data, how it is stored, connecting to HubSpot, adding Excel uploads, and then connecting the screen to the live data that we have picked up. And then start adding the filter and group dashboard information.
So all of this is going to happen in this 1-hour session that we're doing right now, right? I can't imagine how long this will take. If you're working in a company, for example, or if you're a startup founder who's going to, who has a tech team to actually get this done by starting with the coder, writing the code from scratch. Yeah, and that, at least for us as founders, as people who are driving sales, who are using sales data, this is a massive, massive unlock.
Yeah. And I think it also like showed at the starting, right? There's a lot of work that goes in the backend, right? Just asking AI to build a extensive PRD and letting it do everything usually doesn't end up well, right? So, and like we're doing this for enterprises right now, right? So this use case was picked from their requirements that if there are 20 requirements, at least 5 out of 20 were dashboards, right? And everything was, other things were random, and some were versions of a dashboard, right? Which could have been solved in a simple Excel sheet. So looking at and understanding your data, right, that is very critical. So I'll quickly show you, again, this is all sample data. We have to make a new account to show all this, but this is HubSpot data that we are actually sourcing out, right? So you can look at, these are the D contacts that we have, Then, okay, still loading.
Even something like this, like I don't know if the HubSpot is as slow for everyone else, but just dealing with an app or a tool that takes so long to respond when you have deadlines, when you have your manager sitting on your head asking for data, asking for update, asking for insights, your decisions, what are you going to do next? At least for me, when I was working, was quite annoying.
Yeah.
A fraction of my burnout came from this only. Yeah.
So yeah, having a data understanding of the data is, I think, a bit important before you even ask it to build a dashboard, right? Because you also have to check what data is being shown. And actually, with enterprises, we spend more time in the before building and after building part rather than the actual building part, right? Because the more time you spend in both these part, the first part, the less time you have to spend in checking and finding errors and fixing them again. And I think even on the workshops part, we spend at least 30% of the time on understanding what data sources, data format, and where it should end up in what format. Then we get into the building part, or else we just keep handling bugs all the time.
And this is something we keep iterating every time we have these sessions or workshops, is that the coding part is now very easy, right? Which means that the preparation that you have to do, the clarity that you need to have in terms of what you want to build, why you want to build it, and what outcome are you expecting from this tool is more important than actually building this out, right? Because that clarity ensures that you actually get something valuable out of it. It's very easy to make dashboards, it's very easy to make these tools. But for the tool to have real value, the preparation that goes into it is now all the more important.
Cool. So I think let's quickly highlight a few things that I really like about the chat window. So yeah, Rapid obviously gives you a breakdown of what it is doing at all times, right? Here is one line, I'll just highlight that. Yeah, this one. So what Replit has, it basically has multiple agents working, right? So there's a design agent, there is a architect agent, and there's a backend code agent, which kind of talk to each other, right? And sometimes you'll see in the chat window, it kind of reflects that as well. So it is saying, let me update the task list and call the architect to review all the changes, right? So the architect agent will come and review the changes done by the coding agent, right? So it's a good catch by the architect. So it found an error and it will also go ahead and now fix that directly for you. Good. So while it does this, I'll also talk about the database point. So if you want, you can also create your own database within Replit, right? You don't need to rely on multiple sources. Maybe this becomes your central database, and it could also just host an analysis of multiple sources that you are pulling data from, right? So everything is inbuilt into Replit and is all part of the billing that you have. So you don't have to pay separately for it. Right? Then again, publishing also, right? You can publish this internally for your own teams, right? You can go to private teams plan, restrict access. There's also an enterprise plan where you can use SSO, it's SOC 2 compliant, and share it with your own team members, right? So publishing is also, yeah.
Yeah, on the Git, by the way, to answer the earlier question, if you have a Git repository which has been made public, you can actually pull that and build on top of that as well.
Yeah. Correct. And yeah, for those of you who don't know, Git is basically version control of your app. So that is also inbuilt into Replit. The agent keeps making changes. You see it making changes over here. and we'll keep committing those to Git, right? And if your company uses GitHub or GitLab, you can connect those and upload your code and let your developers review it if you want, right? So you're not restricted to the building environment in any case, and you can always export your code and deploy it anywhere you want, on company servers or locally as well. So Git is also a good feature to have.
Cool. While it is building, any more questions, any other doubts, queries, applications?
What about connecting all this to WhatsApp? Let's say I have a way of, let's say I get a WhatsApp message or something like that. Is that possible?
Yeah, if you have the API, then you can, which in itself is a very tough task.
No, so
Yeah, there are the connectors also. Mir, if you want to share that.
yeah. So WhatsApp has partnered with a lot of third-party platform providers.
Yeah.
I think they're called. And you have AI Sensi, Vati, and a few others where they have collaborated with Meta and they give you access to WhatsApp APIs. So getting those APIs is very, very straightforward. You just need a new number, one KYC needs to be done, and you're set. That then gets the business account activated. You also get the API, and then you add that API over here. So there, that is a bit of a manual step. Adil, if you can show the secrets wala part, with AI Sensi or Vati, you get the API, and then you can link it over here. Once the API is linked, you can then add or ask the agent to code logic, saying that, okay, if I get a message from anybody from my contacts, right, read that message, you can add an AI layer to it to analyze the tone of the message, whether it categorize it also, whether this is a qualified lead, hot lead, cold lead, abandoned lead, whether that person is not interested, and do that auto classification based on your WhatsApp messages also.
Yeah.
Okay.
So secrets within Replit is nothing but for developers they'll know is a .env file, which stores all your passwords, API keys, and which are not exposed to the front end or the public when they use your app, right? So like you see, I already have the OpenAI API key stored over here. Similarly, you can add your, let's say, WhatsApp API key. Let's say you're using Vati. You just add it, copy paste your value here, and you can add it, right? And Replit will pick, if you have the web search turned on, it will go to Vati's API documents, pick up the data and structure that is needed, and build out the API integration for you. Right? We don't have to do anything over there except provide the API key. Right? So, sorry.
And just to sort of give you a bit of insight, we are also building at VibeStack. We are automating our entire sales funnel, right, of which WhatsApp is one key element, not just for automating outreach, but also for analyzing messages that come in from people who are interested in our services, in our enterprise workshops, in our MVP workshops, to then reevaluate. So again, the entire sales funnel that we would normally do, we are automating that entire funnel, right, from these sessions. So we've created a replica of Luma, these demo sessions, to, let's say, adding people to the community, to these workshops, having conversations, everything, right? So WhatsApp is a major part of that automation. And maybe in a couple of weeks, we will come up with a demo to showcase that entire funnel, how we built it and how it works for us as well.
Yeah. So it's built out the data, but as you can see, there's some errors, right? It's flowing outside the UI, UX. I'm not able to scroll below. So I'll ask the agent to fix that. Scroll. It's not working. Mainly debug. Now again, this is not a very high level of autonomy needed. So I just switch to low and send it. Right. So again, these are small things that help you save cost here and there, and ultimately the same build that you will get from a long PRD, this will at least be 30-40% cheaper. So a good way to think about how to save cost while building is there is the planning, the thinking, and the coding part, right? The AI is very good at the coding part, right? The more you rely on it for the thinking and the planning part, the more your cost will increase, right? So that's a trade-off that you personally have to make. Do you want to spend time on planning and the thinking part yourself and save cost? There's also the factor of control, right? The more planning you do yourself, the more control on the output you'll have. And again, thus less errors and less rework. Because the harsh reality is, even if the AI makes a mistake, you still get charged the same, even for fixing of the mistake. So our goal is to understand how the AI works and not the other way around, that we rely on the AI and then keep fixing its own mistakes, right? So now
Naveen, you had a question?
Yeah, since we're on the subject of cost, you showed that in the initial design stage, it costs less than $1. And I'm just wondering, if you go all the way to publishing it and build all the backend connectors and all, can you give us some thumb rule in terms of what these costs translate into? Because one criticism we keep hearing from others is that these kind of rapid deployment development tools are good for front end stuff, but there's a whole lot of back end connections that they don't usually build properly, and it doesn't work in live environments and things like that. So maybe you can comment on that criticism as well as an indicative cost.
Sure. So now it is connected to GitHub, right? It is showing the data. Design is, I would not say 100% perfect, but it is picking up exact data. And I just wanted to show you exactly what data it has picked up. So we can do a cross-checking also, right? So let's go to the deals data. It is saying Zen Solutions 54,052. It's still loading. Okay. Zen Solutions.
Yeah.
There's one here. April 22nd. 67,000. Okay.
And there's one below as
Yes, yeah, multiple, yeah. So 22nd November, 67,514. 22nd, it is saying 22nd April. So this date format is an issue. But is there a third one also? Yeah, there are multiple Zen solutions. Let me find a unique one. Yeah, so there are two Zen solutions, in fact, on the same amount. Anything unique? Okay, let's pick this. RapidX, April 10th, 222-94950. RapidX, 222-4950, 10th April. Right. So again, what I would further fix out, so date, it is either picking up date or it is picking up the timestamp, right? So this format also needs a bit fixing, right? But overall, the data is synced with HubSpot. Coming to the point of cost, so now this is one integration we have done with the front end. The previous one was 97 cents. This is $3.49, right? So roughly $4.50. You have one connection and one front end built out for you, right? So that's a cost comparison. And if you look at any custom tool, right? Looking at Zoho as the cheapest option, the cheapest plan that they have is $5 per user per month, right? Right now, in $5, you already have a front end and one connection already built out. Right? I think just to add, our entire project management tool with multiple integrations costs us $30 to build out, right? And costs us less than 50 cents to run every month, because again, low user usage, so not a lot of running cost. But by month third month, we are break even, right? We are saving money every month now since building that on the $30 cost that we would have paid $5 per month per user to Zoho, right? So that is one option. And yeah, running costs are very cheap, right? I can also try to show you that.
I think one more consideration here is, along with costs, there is a reliability factor that comes into play. What we're talking about here in terms of the cost is, let's say $30 to build out the tool that you want, right? With the functionalities that you want, the data that you want to see. Roughly $30 is what we estimate. It's a one-time cost. After that, your monthly cost will be anywhere from $0.50 to $1 to run all of this, right? The reliability part of it, connecting back end, front end, all of that, we've tested it fairly extensively. We have examples where people are building entire enterprise grade apps on Replit. So that is, at least from our perspective, or our use cases that we've seen so far, is not really a big challenge. You want to build an entire Zoho replica is something that we also don't recommend. But an internal tool, an application that maybe 10,000 or even 100,000 users are using, is definitely scalable to that level, right? The cost, like I said, is a one-time expense, but it gives you the freedom and the capabilities to do whatever you want with it. And that benefit, in our perspective, outweighs the $30 cost by a long shot.
Yeah. So yeah, Replit gives you a breakdown of exactly what, where you've spent, how much you've spent by month, by app, right? So you can split your agent usage and look at, okay, how much have I spent building different apps, right? You can look at how much have you spent on AI. So all your AI billing integrations also get built into one account, right? And you get a breakdown on basically how much you spent on each app. Assistant will come in a while, but yeah, you can add collaborators across different apps. Number of apps is unlimited. Coming to publishing part, right now, I think I have how many apps live right now? 4 apps are live right now, right? And over the whole month, I've spent what, $1, $2, $2.5, $4.50 on 4 apps that are deployed, right? So the running cost is, it is almost at cost of what you would deploy over an AWS or a Azure cloud, right? We don't have the exact official code from them that at what is the margin that they use, but it is almost at cost, right? AI integration is at cost. What the API is costing them from Gemini or ChatGPT, it is at cost to us, right? So building cost of $30, running cost 4 apps, $4, $1 per app, right, per month. So that, I hope that gives a rough idea of what the cost will look like.
Yes. And even the OpenAI API, you don't really need to get that API. It's inbuilt, and we'll build out that feature now where it gives you AI insights. But that feature also, you don't even need to subscribe to an OpenAI API. You don't need to pay the $20. You will get billed as per your usage through Replit directly.
Cool. So now let me ask it. Build a AI summary section, which is insights on my data. Use the best practices. What analysis is needed for sales data to present over, let's say, a CEO on a weekly basis, right? Now, if you have exactly what you need to present, you can upload a sample and say, this is what I want to present.
Correct.
Every week, right?
Yes.
Now, again, a new feature. So I'll either move to medium or high, but let's see medium again, right? And I'll turn on app testing this time to see how it works, right? So I gave it the prompt and let's see how it works out. Any other questions in the meantime? What are the data sources you guys are thinking of using in your dashboard? You can share a few examples with us.
Google Sheets, and of course there are quite a few. Like there's a pharmacy management software that I have. There's a electronic health records and a lab management tool. All three of them.
Oh,
Not so big tools though.
Got it. And the other tools, do they have API available for public?
One of them does. The other two, I don't think.
Got it. So I think that's the restriction, right? If the other tool doesn't provide an API, it
Yes.
becomes very difficult to integrate that. That's impossible.
One more use case that we've also identified, again, talking to a few people in sales teams, was one is, let's say they're using HubSpot, but they have, or even Zoho for that matter, but they have a restriction on that tier that you can use only 500 such, you can add only 500 deals or 500 XYZ things, right? But they want to use more, right? So how do you do that? You build your own version of it over here. The other use case that we also came across was here, in my tier, it gives me 10 features, but I don't want those 10 features. I want to use only 3 of those. Why do I have to pay for the remaining 7, right? So instead of upgrading to that tier, can I build those 3 features outside and integrate it over here and showcase whatever I want over here, right? So those are some of the innovative use cases we have identified through talking to a lot of people on how you can use these tools or what you can do with it. The possibilities are endless. Flexibility is what you have. How do you use that flexibility is something that you have to figure out basis your use cases. And we've also done that. We actually do a few consulting, kind of 1 or 2 day consulting engagements with a few companies to try and identify where AI can actually make a difference in their workflow, right? Just because people are talking about AI and we want to use AI, we want to add AI to our use cases, we want to be AI enabled. What is it really impacting, right? Is it going to add value? Is it just going to add a bullet point in your deck for investors or stakeholders, or is it genuinely going to add value? So that is also something that we work with, and we've discovered a few use cases through that.
Yeah. So again, like it's asking for OpenAI integration confirmation. I've already added it as a login. So I'll just confirm it. Right, again, 30 cents to build an AI integration in 30 seconds. So literally 1 cent per second. But yeah, I think to Mihir's point, right? One of our enterprise clients had to, again, similar to WhatsApp integration, right? They wanted an integration with Slack, and they were mostly on the Google system, right? And they had to upgrade their tool to a plan which would double the cost, right? And again, the double cost had 100 more features, but they wanted 1 or 2 at max, right? It doesn't make sense. So they used Google Sheets. They were had a very easy integration with Google Sheets with that tool, and use Google Sheets as a source to start sending those messages across Slack. So the possibilities are endless. Just you have to understand what needs to be automated. Everything doesn't need AI or automation.
Correct.
Just waiting for it to complete. Did we miss something? Yeah, I'll cover assistant for a while. So assistant is basically, you can say the AI agent is a senior software developer. The assistant is an intern, right? It lets you do very small, minute changes, but it also requires much more comprehensive prompting and explanation of what you want to do, right? For example, if I go to this section, right, there's a 3-line prompt, right? For assistant, I'll have to explain, okay, where do I want to add this? Where should you pick data from? What kind of prompting should you use, right? And how should you present the data as well, right? So like I said, the trade-off between the thinking and planning part, you have to do and give it to assistant. But the question comes, then why should I use even assistant, right? Why don't I stick to the agent? The benefit to the assistant is everything you do with assistant, every prompt cost you only 5 cents, right? So it's super cheap. But the thinking and the planning part completely comes onto you, right? And if you don't define it very well, the cost keeps increasing, right? Because you have to do it multiple times. Ultimately, if you do it in 6 prompts rather than one, you will come back to 30 cents and do the same thing. And you wasted more time.
Spend more time. Yeah.
Yeah. So if cost saving is really a higher priority, spend more time in the planning and explanation part to assistant, and you can save 30 to 40% at least of the cost very easily. Like this AI integration, assistant will not be able to do, right? So there's certain tasks that assistant cannot do, but a lot of things it can still do. But again, you have to balance out the pros and cons. Database we covered. Yeah. So security, I think, is a question that a lot of people have, especially enterprises, right? So Replit has an inbuilt security scan, which looks at your current code, finds potential vulnerabilities. So right now it has highlighted one, which dependency is kind of outdated, right? And you can always go once it's done running, we can ask the agent to fix that issue as well. They partnered with like multiple, at least two, I think, SemGrep and Hound Dogs.ai, which are basically AI powered security checks. Right? So that's also a good feature from an enterprise point of view to use. So yeah, this is the testing feature I wanted to show you guys. So while Replit is testing your app, you can view the testing live while it is happening, right? So it opened up in a new browser window. Now it will start scanning. You see the purple cursor over here. It is syncing the data. Now it will start scanning each part. And if it fails, it will identify an issue.
And it will automatically go in and fix that issue.
Yeah. So the test uncovered an issue. It is not syncing. So it will now go and sync that.
And this AI feature is actually very, very interesting because the applications, the more we use it, the more we realize. Like one of the things that we saw with another enterprise client was they had a team of sales reps, right? What this AI layer did was it gave feedback based on calling data. So they had transcripts. It was able to give feedback to the sales team members based on that data. Okay, this is what you should do next time. This is why this call didn't get converted. And it did like a manager's job in real time, not on a monthly or a quarterly or only 6 months, once in 6 months kind of a thing. And they were able to improve their performance quite rapidly because of that. Right? And then AI telling you something, there is no judgment, there is no ego issue, there is no, oh, will this impact my increment, or none of those subjective issues that come up over here. So that was another very interesting AI use case that we found being implemented in one enterprise.
Okay, this example that you gave was a like an inside sales job. Is that what it is? You're on a call, or was it a face-to-face? What is this?
No, on the dashboard.
Yeah, during a call.
Uh-huh.
So I think what Dimple is asking, is the sales team doing pitches on call or face-to-face?
Call, on call. So those recording transcripts being generated are being used by the OpenAI this thing and giving feedback.
Okay.
The same can also be done in person. If there are pitches done in person, there just needs to be an external recording device, and then you add that or upload that information. Like you have an Excel upload feature, you can have a transcript upload feature over here, upload it on a daily, weekly, whatever basis, and build the logic around it to say, okay, give me insights.
Yeah, so I think it has completed building. Okay, it is again testing and it found another bug. Yeah, now it's completed. And it also explains to you what it has done and how it actually works, right? So it will give an executive summary, concise 2-3 sentence overview of current sales, key metrics and their trend, and recommendations and observations. It uses GPT-4 or Mini to replicate AI integration, no API, and cost will be billed to your credits. It will automatically analyze pipeline, top performance, conversion rates, and revenue trends, give you data, funnel bottlenecks, team performance, and immediate action items. You can refresh anytime. This AI feature cost us $3, right? Now, if I turned off the testing part, maybe it would have been less than, I don't know, $2, definitely less than $2, maybe
Yeah.
even 1.5. But then that testing part comes on me to test and make sure it is working fine.
Correct.
So that's a trade-off that you need to make on whether you need it or you want to test it yourself. Because I'm anyway going to test it now, right? So that is my at least logic that why I turn off testing most of the time. Right. So let's refresh. Okay, so it's not picking any data. We go to analytics. There is nothing here. Upload is upload. So now I just copy paste. And this is given error. Explain what is going wrong. What I'll do is rather than going into build, I'll ask the plan version to help me understand what is the error here. Right? And you'll see how that works as well. So it is saying the data is there, but the AI will take some time to give the data, right? So now I'll ask it, can we create a check on whether the AI is working on analysis and not give an appropriate message.
This is still in plan.
Yeah, still in plan. I'm not making changes right now. One thing to note, the plan feature also cost you, right? So again, when you're looking at cost and you want to do planning, make sure a lot of people what they do is use ChatGPT for the planning part.
Mm.
If you already have a plan over there, why want to spend extra? But yeah, this already has a lot of context of what you want to do. So that is the advantage of using it here. So it has given me that will look at loading state and give me 3 messages based on what is happening. So I ask it to build now. Right. This cost me 5 cents. Planning usually costs between 5 to 30 cents, depending on how much work the agent has to do. And when you say start building, it will just transition from the plan to build mode automatically. Pick the last context of the prompts that you gave it and start building. So what I can also show is a different application and show you how that works. Similar integration that we've done over there. So test it out. So now it's getting messages of what the work is happening right now. I can go to this app and also show it. And see, because we've done the whole planning before, the build part now only costs 30 cents. So I've, at least in my experience, found that the planning, if you do planning before and then you do the build, it is a much more efficient way of getting the right output and at a lower cost combined. The analysis is taking quite a long time. Let me try it here. So this is again like a sample dashboard we had built while planning out this session. Yeah. So I hope you can see the screen.
Yes.
It basically picked up the data and built out an executive summary of what is happening, key highlights, areas of concern, actions recommended. Now you can download these insights into an Excel sheet or send via email. We've done an email integration also over here. So just add the email ID, whoever you want to send it to, and it will send a report of the summary to whoever you want, right? Or you can ask AI simple question, right? For example, which was first forming month and why. So now the data is not there, so it's saying I can't identify. Interesting. Let's ask for revenue analysis. So this is stuck somewhere. So again, these are the kind of small issues that you'll have to debug again using the agent.
And there are a few other methods also, like we go a little deeper into what is the logic that it is implementing, what is the prompt that it is giving OpenAI, can we simplify that prompt, can we simplify the data sourcing, and we cover some of these things in the workshop. But again, it's a solvable problem. Right? We've gone 90% of the way, the remaining 10% is definitely solvable.
Yeah. And again, revenue performance looks at the data, gives you trends, patterns, growth, decline, recommendations to improve performance.
Correct.
You can also customize the prompt for each of these analysis, right? Go into the code and add your own prompt on what works for you, right? And again, these are again dashboards that we had built to the same data point. Cool. We'll quickly, I think we are over time.
Yeah.
I'll quickly wrap up. Yeah. So there are a few questions that people usually ask about security and deployability, right? Like, so deployments are there live with a security scan, but again, these are not 100% secure. Lovable, Replit, both the most popular tools keep having, at least in the last 1 year, there are a few instances where security breaches are there. But yeah, so there are a few areas where you can avoid AI dev tools, right? We're looking at very sensitive data like medical records or personal finance data or government related data or any data where there is compliance and regulatory requirements, right? Like GDPR and HIPAA. So be careful while using that data point. Replit, like I said, has its own pre-deployment security scan. Every deployment is on Google Cloud platform. So every security that you get on Google Cloud is also there. For enterprises, there is SOC 2 compliance and SSO and private deployments as well. So data control and access also is fairly easy. A lot of people come to us and say that there's a lot of debugging that comes on AI dev tools, right? We don't want debugging. These stats are from a professional developer, right? On average, it takes 30 times longer for a software developer to fix a bug versus write a new code, right? 75% of a developer's time is spent on debugging. There's 70 bugs per 1,000 lines of code by a human developer. And even after all the QA and testing, 15 bugs make it to the final version, right? I recently shared in our community that even LinkedIn has a bug where it's showing the same chart twice on user analytics. So our pipe-coded apps can definitely have a few bugs, right? We covered this a lot, right? Credits and optimization. One main difference is tools like Replit and GitHub also has a AI copilot. They show you the exact amount that you are spending, right? Whereas Lovable, V0, and Cursor, they show you the credits that you are spending. So you have to do a second math of credits to cost. So that's again a trade-off that you have to make. Deployment is again very easy. Replit has some customizations available. We couldn't cover that today. But yeah, other tools also have deployments, right? So it's not a challenge in multiple tools. Again, use cases, a lot of MVPs. This is my own app that I built using Replit. This is a 3D game that was built on Replit. One of our founders in our cohorts built an AI matchmaker for dating. So this is what all has been possible. In terms of enterprises, like you said, replacing SaaS tools is a very big use case. Front-end A/B testing. Our company website is built on Replit.
Correct.
And automating workflows, right? Replit, Anytime, Make, any tool you use can really help you with that.
Yes. All right.
All
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks, Harish.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.